This is a matter now we need to really realize, which is these people who criticize Sheikh Nasir, who criticize the scholars, they are a people who believe prior to the criticization, believe themselves that the hadith of the Prophet and the ayat of the Quran, they are not their apparent meaning. And the asal of the Quran and Sunnah is that you take the zahir from it, the apparent. Unless if there comes another evidences that show khas and generalization and specification, and of course you follow it. Like in the asal of the text of the Quran and Sunnah is what? To follow the zahir. So the characteristics of Allah, does it fall under that? Not how, as Bayjuri said in his, he said, وَكُلَّمَا أَوْهَمَتْ تَشْبِيهًا. Anything that may have any resemblance, when you see the hand of Allah that has, it resembles the creation automatically by the name, of course, فَوِّضْهُ تَأَوِّلْهُ أَوْ فَوِّضْ وَرُمْ تَنْزِيهًا. What you do is just change the meaning. Or say, Allah alam, we don't know it. It's a part we don't know, it's just there. So we don't know what it means. Say that. That's their belief prior to the criticization. So you need to know, listen to what Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said in his kitab I'lam al-Waqi'an. He said, Al-wajib, it is mandatory. حمل كلام الله, Allah's speech. Ta'ala, wa Rasul and his messenger. Wa hamlu kalamil mukallafi. And the speech of a person who is a normal person you're dealing with. Ala zahiri, to take his apparent. If a person tells you, go, you can't say, hey, what does he mean by that? Is there an intent? No, you take the zahir, he tells you, leave. Sahih. You take the zahir from it. وهو الذي يقصد من اللفظ عند التخاطب. When the people are discussing a matter and having a conversation, a dialogue, the asal is what you see from face value. That's what you take from it. And all of this tafahum and tama'ul and ta'aqqul and to ponder and look into these issues, that's not what the essence of a speech is. It isn't. And scholars have mentioned that. Ibn Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala in his kitab, Shafi'i rahimahullah in his Risala, there's a kalam which he says, فَلَمَّا احْتَمَلَ الْمَعْنَيَيْنِ, when a speech takes two meanings, meaning he's referring to the hadith, وَجَبَ عَلَى أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ, it is mandatory upon the people of knowledge, أَلَّا يَحْمِلُوهَا عَلَى أَخَاصٍ دُونَ عَامٍ, that they take it to specification without generalization, إِلَّا بِدَلَالَةِ مِنَ النَّصِّ مِنْ سُنَّةِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ, unless there is an evidence from the sunnah itself. أو إجماع, or unless there's a consent of the Muslimin, الذين لا يمكن أن يجمعوا على خلاف السنة, that will never go against the sunnah in what they say. So this also Muhammad Amin al-Shanqiti in his Al-Adwa' al-Bayan has a nice kalam as well. Hey, what is the other issue? Which point are we on? We've got 2 more left inshallah. 3 more left with this one. His leniency متساهل في الحديث تصحيح صحيح, that he's very soft in terms of authenticating and weakening narrations. And this matter differs from people to people. When you are a harsh person authenticating hadith, what do you see other people as? You see? So this is where you stand. It's where you stand and where you look at it from. Anyone who, some people look at Albani and say, he's harsh in hadith. And there are those who said it. And there are those who said he's what? All of that differs where you stand. If you're miskeen and you're hadith, all of them, you say, you know what, let it go through, man. What do you see? One guy who, in one of his recordings, he put his Kitab al-Albani up, the Adab al-Mufrad. So YouTube, if you watch him. He mentions it. You all know who he is. He's one Pakistani Sheikh. It's Tahir al-Qadir, I think his name's called. He talks about the book Adab al-Mufrad. Adab al-Mufrad, and he brought it, and then at the beginning it says Sahih Adab al-Mufrad. And you know who made it Sahih? And then he goes, this is Sahih Adab al-Mufrad. By who? Albani. Like Bukhari wasn't Sahih. Wallahi, any individual who has hatta, sometimes, you know, it's not, as the poet said, وَلَيْسَ يَصِحُ فِي الْأَذْهَانِ شَيْءٌ إِذَا احْتَاجَ النَّهَارُ إِلَى دَلِيلٍ. It is not befitting for the mind if the sun needs a proof. If we debate about the sun that's out there in the open, hey, it's there, prove it. Well, it's there, prove it. And we're discussing, some things are badahiyat, they don't need to be discussed. It's just clear cut. What the question that comes is did Bukhari condition his Kitab Adab al-Mufrad authenticity? Because we know he did that in his Sahih. Just because he's the same author doesn't mean all his works is going to do the same thing. He's like, Bukhari, he's just wrote Sahih Bukhari. So that means every book he wrote, he wanted it to be authentic. Some books he just wrote it. All the narrations he didn't consider it, whether it's authentic or not, it's not. You with me? So this issue, for him, the way he was looking at Albani was mutashaddid. And other ones, they go against him as a mutasahil. But as I said, this issue is amrun nisbi. It's a matter that differs from people to people. But we show that Sheikh al-Nasir was a man of manhajiyah. He had a methodology that was strong. You could disagree with him on a particular hadith and agree with him in a particular hadith. That's another different matter. Like, let's look at who Sheikh al-Albani was. The issues they hold against him are three issues when it comes to the hadith and the science of hadith. One, تحسين الحديث الضعيف بتعدد الطرق. The first one is he used to make a hadith sound, not authentic, but a sound. Hassan. He used to make a hadith Hassan by finding different narrations that were weak that make it authentic. It makes it sound. So Sheikh Nasir would say weak, and then all of that together, he will now make it Hassan. We're going to come to who said that before him and does that exist and can you do that? We'll get to that. Inshallah. The second one is قبول حديث الراوي مجهول الحال. Accepting the narration of an individual who's anonymous, he's unknown. His situation is unknown. Remember, the scholar, the person who's the jahala, the person not being known is two types. Pay attention, inshallah, because you studied a bit of science hadith here. The jahala, the unknownness, if that's the correct word. Or did I just make it up? The anonymity of an individual is two types. One is that he himself is not known. Aslan, who is he? You come up to me and I am asked, do you know AbdulRahman who Wasim is? I said, I don't know who he is. Aslan, in my mind you are unknown. I don't know who you are. That's one. So that means you particularly I don't know. The second one is somebody asked me, do you know Wasim? I said, I know him, yeah. But he's irreliable. I don't know his situation like that. So I know you, if I saw you in a group of 5 people, I can pick you up and say, look, come, Wasim, here he is. I know you from a crowd of people. You see? But I don't know you as an individual of where your status and are you reliable, because I haven't dealt with you in that way. With me? Which one is hard? Which one's worse? The first one, because I don't know you at all. I don't know whether you're Somali, I don't know you're Pakistani, I don't know you're Indian, I don't know you're Arab, I don't know what you are. This one I know your ethnicity, I know how old you are, I know where you live, I know your family, I know a bit about you, but I don't know you as an individual. If somebody said, can I marry my daughter off to him, I say, Allah Alam. Because I haven't dealt with you in that way. But don't worry, I'll let them marry you. So here, so in this particular moment, the first one is called Majhulul Ayn. It's the first type, when you don't know the person at all. The second one is when you don't know the person's condition. It's called Majhulul Hal. It's called what? It's called Majhulul Hal. It's called Majhulul Hal. Sheikh Nasir would authenticate, basically accept a narration who the person's condition is unknown. And will rely of the praisal of Ibn Hibban. Same one, same point. So the second point that they criticized him for was what? He would accept a narration of the individual whose condition is unknown. He's known as an individual, but his condition is unknown. And then, how can a person's... So listen to this, brothers. Okay? Are you with me? If a person's condition is unknown, who can take him out of that realm of anonymity? Sir? Somebody has to take him out, right? Scholars of hadith, if they say he's a reliable man, does he leave that realm of being unknown? Yes. He does. Except one man like him. Ibn Hibban, his tawthiq, his praisal of a person, saying that person is known and writing about them, scholars don't tend to take it because he's mutasahil, he's very lean on that field. Are you with me? Yes. Ibn Hibban. So they said Sheikh Albani would use Ibn Hibban on a person who's unknown, his condition is unknown. Albani would just take that person on. And the third thing they have against him is that he used to authenticate narrations. Authenticate narrations when there are narrators in the hadith who are weak. He will still authenticate the hadith. So let's start off each point one after the other. Are you all with me? So here we're going to learn a bit of science of hadith benefit, inshallah, and it will help us later when we study a book of like Bayquni, which we're going to do, inshallah, like this. Okay? They criticize our Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, in this matter. Now we're going to quickly go over some matters, inshallah. If I say it and you don't understand, remember you can always go back to the recording. So let's not pause me. If you can write it, write it. If you can't, then you can always go back to the hadith is 3 types. وأهل هذا الشأن قسموا السنن إلى صحيح وضعيف وحسن. Iraqi in his Alfiyah, that's what he said. He said, وأهل هذا الشأن, the people of this field. قسموا السنن. The sunnah they divide into how much? 3. إلى صحيح, صحيح. وضعيف وحسن وضعيف. Those 3. إلى صحيح وضعيف وحسن. صحيح, حسن and ضعيف. Right in that order, okay? So the hadith in the eyes of the people of this field, meaning the Ahlul Hadith, how many grades does the hadith have? 3. Put the weak narrations aside for me. Get the Sahih and the Hasan for me. The Sahih has narrations. Pay attention, okay? Because this is the science of hadith now. The hadith which is Hasan is 2 types, and the hadith which is Sahih is 2 types. So go for the Sahih first. Hayya. The hadith which is Sahih is 2 types, and the hadith which is Hasan is 2 types. The Sahih is Sahihun lidati. It's a hadith which is authentic in itself, in and within itself. It doesn't need any help or any support. It's Sahih by itself. And that's called Sahihun in and within itself. That's what it's called. There's another type of Sahih. Sahih with help. It's called Sahihun li ghayrihi. It's a Sahih with what? That needs help. What does it need? It needs help. What is the help that it needs? It needs hadith which are sound. A lot of sound hadith comes together, meaning the same, having the same concept. What does it become? It pushes up to Sahihul li ghayri, the second type of Sahih. Good, mashallah, we understood that point. If you haven't, you can always go back to the recording. Then we go to the Hasan. Hasan is what? 2 types. A hadith which is Hasan in and within itself. And a hadith which is Hasan and it needs help. Where does it get the help from now? Weak narrations. A lot of weak narrations come together and they become what? Hasanul li ghayri. We want to prove who put it out like that. Because there, Albani would be said, the Hassanun they're holding him account for is either Hassanul lidati or Hassanul lighairi, and that he uses a lot of weak narrations that came together and he made it into Hassanul lighairihi. We're going to all the conditions of what the scholar said and we're going to clarify it. But I want you to go first know the terms that we're going to use, and now we're going to go in, inshallah, okay? Are you all with me?
Yeah.
What's the conditions of hadith being sahih?
In of itself, or
No, what's the definition? Now those are the types. 3 things have to be found and 2 things have to be missing. That's how a hadith is sahih. 3 things have to be found and 2 things have to be missing. That hadith is sahih. لذاته. Are you with me? In and within itself, it's authentic. Which means what? First one, the 3 things that have to be found. First one is that the chains of narration is connected. Ittisalu sanad. The chain of narration is what? Baykhuni, what did he say? أولها, he said, أبدأ بالحمد مصليا على محمد خير نبي أرسل وذي من أقسام الحديث عدة وكل واحد أتى وحده. أولها الصحيح وهو ما اتصل إسناده ولم يشذ أو يعل يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله معتمد في ضبطه ونقله والحسن المعروف طرقا وغدت رجاله لا كالصحيح اشتهرت. The first one is what? Sahih. Sahih is 3 conditions that have to be found. The first one is Sahih. The first condition is that the chain of narration is connected. The second thing is that the people who are narrating the hadith are reliable. The third is that the narrators of the hadith are strong in their memory. Fully strong in their memory. Tamud dabt. Strong in their memory. Or if they don't use their memory, they are strong in terms of when they write it and they keep that book and they don't give it to anyone else and no one fidgets with their books. That's also sahih. Meaning they know what they write, their book nobody plays with it, they keep it close to themselves, And inshallah, when we study Sahih Hadith, we'll go into that more details, inshallah. Those are the three things that have to be found. The two things that have to be missing are what? The two things that have to be missing is that this narration, it cannot have any form of defect. Hidden defect. Write that word hidden, okay? Hidden defect, which is illa qadiha. It shouldn't have any form of defect which is hidden. And the last which is that it should not oppose other narrations. It shouldn't be shadh. So two have to be missing, and those three have to, two have to be missing, and those three have to be found. Pay attention. Are you all with me? When that's a sahih hadith, right? What is the difference between sahih and da'if? The only thing that the difference between the sahih and the da'if, when I say sahih, I mean sahihul lidati, the sahih in and within itself, and the hasanul lidati, the hasan in and within itself. What's the difference? Only one thing. The memory is different. The memory of the sahih are strong people. The hasan, their memory is slightly gone. It's weighed out. They're not strong, but their hadith becomes sound. The other conditions are there. The other conditions are in place. The other two conditions are present. The other two defects are missing. It's just one thing. The fifth thing is missing, which is their memory is not 100%. They do get it wrong. How is the memory determined? Khatib al-Baghdadi mentioned in his book, Al-Kifaya, it's determined by what he gets right is more than what he gets wrong. Okay? That person's memory is good. It's mashallah, it's good. That's it. Are you all with me now? Nah. So we won't disagree the fact that da'if and sahih can be taken. We agree that, right? Alhamdulillah. If that narration, whose person's memory is low, comes in by another person, helps him, whose memory is low, narrates it with him, and another person whose memory is low, narrates it with him. Now what does that become? What does it become? It's strong, but what does it become? It's a second type of sahih, which is sahihun لغيره. MashaAllah. You're with me? We started. Now we want to see if the hadith is, what about da'if? That's the question at Albani. Weak narrations, coming together and authenticated. That's the first thing they said, that Sheikh Albani was very lean in hadith in that matter, from the three that we mentioned. So let's mention some scholars who said that more before him. This is not Sheikh Albani's quote. He didn't say this first, and this is a matter we need to prove for him, rahimahullah ta'ala. The only narration, the only da'if that's not accepted is a scholar who's, remember when I said the three conditions that have to be found? Are you with me? Mm-hmm. What are they? The chain of narration? Chain of narration is connected.
Reliable and good memory.
Reliable. The weak, that if they come together, they can never support themselves, is the one that if there's a problem with the reliability of the narrators, that's finished. Such as if he's a liar. Are you with me? Or he's suspected to be a liar. He places a hadith. So get rid of that one. That one is not taken. That's one you have to keep in mind with me. But if the chain of narration is disconnected, or the narrator's memory is weak, or he has no memory, and they are a lot. They are what? A lot. There's no memory. We didn't say he's got partially memory or he's got some memory. He's gone, no memory. Or the chain of narration is disconnected. Are you with me? Those two, how many, three conditions were needed, right? The second one is not the reliability is not what touched. If reliability is touched, that hadith is fabricated. Take kadhab. No, never. 20 kadhabs, if they come together, they're kadhab at the end of the day. Sahih. It just increases their kadhib even more. But if the chain of narration is disconnected in one narration, in one place, And another place, the chain of narration is actually connected, but there's a person whose memory is very weak. Now these, when they come together, they can support one another. You with me? And Imma scholars said this, who have mentioned this matter. Listen to it now. Ibn Salah rahimahullah, he said this. Who said it? Who's Ibn Salah rahimahullah? He is the Imam in which the science of hadith, really the late comers in this field who authored, they all go back to that book. Iraqi's Alfiyah, the nazm, the 1,000 lines of poetry he made, it's from that book, Ulum al-Hadith. اختصار علوم الحديث, which Ibn Jama'ah, Ibn Kathir rahimahullah abridged, Ibn Jama'ah abridged, what's his name, Allah al-Musta'an, Iraqi made Alfiyah of, Suyuti made Alfiyah of the man who made the Alfiyah, so he also goes back to the Alfiyah of what? The Ulum al-Quran. If you go to the Nukhbat al-Fikr ibn Hajar, authored, which is a science of hadith, he mentioned that everyone who came, either he done a hashiyah on it, or a nazma of it, or a ikhtisara of it, or a sharah of it. This is the book the ulama done i'tikaf on. They done i'tikaf on it. This is the book they worked around. So Ibn Salah has rights on a lot of people in the science of hadith. In the latecomers. His book is very great, noble. Scholars organized it, worked on it, abridged it, sharah, put explanation on it. Ibn Salah. And he done this book when he used to be in his place, his Madrasatul Ashrafiyah, where he used to sit and he used to give imla, he used to dictate these points, and it was brought together and a book was authored out of it. He said in his kitab, لَيْسَ كُلُّ ضَعْفٍ فِي الْحَدِيثِ, it's not every weak narration, يَزُولُ, that it will be moved, it will leave, بِمَجِيئِهِ مِنْ وُجُوهٍ, not every weak narration, that it will be, we'll get rid of it if it comes from many faces. بل ذلك يتفاوت, rather this matter, it differs and it ranges. فمنه ضعف, there are some type of weakness, يزول ذلك, that it's just the right of it becoming strong is out of the picture. Why is it? بأن يكون ضعف ناشئا من ضعف حفظ راويه. If the weakness is in, the reason for it is the memory of the narrator, مع كوني, with the fact that he's what? من أهل الصدق, he's truthful. So his reliability is in place, as I said. وديانة, and his religion. فإذا رأينا, if we see that from him, ما رواه, that which he narrated, قد جاء من وجوه, it came from many faces. آخر, another different faces. عرفنا, we will realize أنه مما قد حفظه. This is one of the things he knows. His memory is bad, but this is one of the things he got right. Other narrations have support him. You see? وَلَمْ يَخْتَلَّ فِي ضَبْطِهِ لَهُ, and this matter, there's no deficiency and he never got it wrong in his memory on this matter. وَكَذَلِكَ إِذَا كَانَ ضَعْفُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ الْإِرْسَالِ, and even if his weakness is sometimes that the hadith, he ascribes it to the Prophet, when in reality it wasn't a speech of the Prophet, it was a speech of a tabi'i, the issue would be rejected like that. And he mentioned that matter. So what do you see from that? That the hadith, it's not every weakness. The only weakness that's not taken is if the rawi, his reliability. Listen to this. So what do we learn from here? For the hadith to become hasanul li ghayrihi, for it to push up and to become hasanul li ghayrihi, from the kalam of Ibn Salah, and if we go to Tirmidhi, I'm going to read his kalam, Imam Tirmidhi, look what he said. He said, أَلَّا يَكُونَ فِي إِسْنَادِهِ مَنْ يَتَّهِمُ الْكَذِبِ. The hadith which is hasan, and he's defining hasanul li ghayrihi. He said, أَلَّا يَكُونَ فِي إِسْنَادِهِ مَنْ يُتَّهَمُ بِالْكَذِبِ. That it's not in the chain of narration somebody who's suspected with being a liar. وَلَا يَكُونُ شَاذًا, and this narration does not oppose other narrators. وَيَرْوِيهِ مِنْ غَيْرِ وَجْهٍ, and it's also narrated in many forms, many pictures. So if he's not suspected of lying or he's not a liar, and he doesn't oppose anyone, he said this, and it comes in many forms, this hadith is accepted. This is the definition of Tirmidhi regarding Hassan. This is definition. From those two, what do we realize? That two conditions is needed for a hadith to become hasanul li ghayri. For it to reach that point, weak narrations to be made sound, two conditions are needed. أَلَّا يَشْتَدَّ ضَعْفُ الطُّرُقِ, that the weaknesses that in each narration are not severe, meaning not in the adala and the reliability. Second is أن يكون تعدد الطرق تعددا حقيقيا, that the narration has to come into multitude number of narrations that are in reality that can see. That number of narrations, it will not leave any form of assumption or suspicion that this person must have got it wrong. I mean, it's like 50 narrations on this matter, or 25 or 30 narrations. The chances of this person, and it's not the same person, other people are narrating it. They've got deficiency in their one, but all of those people all got it wrong. And it's a matter of just memory. Do you see? This matter now, what we will say is that it's correct. And I mentioned two kalam of those two noble scholars. Another issue now that we mentioned. So Sheikh Albani, can he be criticized about that matter? No, Ibn Salah said it, and Tirmidhi rahimahullah said it. And what were they both? A'immatul Hadith. Let's mention another issue now. Let's mention another issue, which is the matter regarding hadith which is hasanul li ghayrihi, to a hadith which is weak, to make it hasanul li ghayrihi. It's an issue of ijtihad. It's an issue of striving. We need to understand that first. So can you criticize a person for doing ijtihad, striving, and getting it wrong? You might disagree with him in this hadith, but you can't say, oh, he does this and he shouldn't do this. This is an issue that is ijtihad, and listen to this. And as much, some people say to you, why is Albani today coming and saying the hadith in Abu Dawood is da'if? Question is, Abu Dawood, is he a prophet? Is revelation coming on him? How did he know this hadith is sahih? What did he do? Ijtihad. Why is the ijtihad allowed for Abu Dawood and not allowed for Al-Albani? That door of ijtihad in this science is not closed. And anyone who believes that should go back to the book of Imam Muhammad Amir al-San'ani. He wrote Irshad. He wrote a book. He talks about that the doors of ijtihad is not closed. Until Yawm al-Hada you can do ijtihad. Some people said that the door of ijtihad is closed in this field. It's not closed. Still open. And in the science of hadith, it's still open. And listen to this. Let this go into your mind. Ibn Kathir said, rahimahullah, when he was in his great noble kitab, Ikhtisar Ulum al-Hadith, he said, when he was talking about the Hassan, وَهَذَا النَّوْعِ, this type, meaning referring to which one? The Hassan. He said this type, which is the Hassan, هذا النوع لما كان وسطا, because it's in between what? وسط, in between what? صحيح and what? ضعيف. في النظر الناظري. It is the look of the looker. لا في نفس الأمر. It's the look of the looker, not in the reality of the matter. عصر التعبير عنه. It became hard to determine it. وضبطه, and to put a point down to it. على كثير من أهل هذه الصناعة. In a lot of the people who specialize in this field. وذلك لأنه أمر نسبي, because this matter differs from people to people. A man might consider the hadith to be Hassan, and another one might not see it. It's hard for everyone to determine it and put a point down to it, because it's one of the hardest, and it's in between 2 points. هي شيء ينقدح عنه الحافظ وربما تقصر عبارته عنه. So this is a matter like that. Ibn Taymiyyah رحمه الله تعالى. He mentioned something like that as well. We won't go too much into it. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, anyone who reads Ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that. In the book قوة الحجاج في عموم المغفرة للحجاج, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah is a great muhaddith in the science. He says, القبول ما اتصل سند وعدلت رجاله أو اعتض بعض طرقه ببعض حتى تصل القوة بالصورة المجموعة. The hadith which is maqbul. Maqbul is the narration that is accepted. Which ones are accepted? Sahihan? Beautiful, mashallah. Are what? It is something that its chain is connected. The narrators are what? Reliable. So does Hassan and Sahih, do they share that together? Yes, they do. Or other narrations back it up, support it. بعض طرقي ببعض. Narrations and another narrations, they come together, they push it up. حتى until تحصل القوة, until the strength occurs بصورة المجموعة as a whole number all together. Strength is one. ولو كان كل طريق منها, and if each narration was to انفردت, if it stood by itself, لم تكن قوة فيها مشروعة, the strength will not be permitted for it. Each one by itself is weak, but when they come as a whole, they become strong. Look at your finger, how weak they are by itself. You can't punch nobody like that, can you? You call like that. Sahih. As a whole, it becomes strong. Sahih. And Ibn Hajar rahimahullah mentioned that. So this issue, ikhwani, one has to give himself easy matter and relax and not go into what he doesn't know. Sheikh Nasir has a salaf on this issue, rahimahullah. Also Ibn Abdul Hadi. Ibn Abdul Hadi, he mentions something like that in his kitab, his great noble kitab, which is called الرد على السبكي الصارم المنكي في الرد على السبكي. Kalam which is nafis, when one can benefit from. What else did they accuse him of?
Number 9 is contradicting himself in narrations.
No, I'm talking about the point regarding him being lean. I mentioned 3 points.
Oh, the second point is that he was accepting narrations from people with their condition was not known. The condition was unknown. Who were weak in hadith.
He would take?
Weak narrators.
Nah, I didn't say that.
Majhulul had.
Unknown narrators, and he would rely on the narration of Ibn Hibban regarding that person being anonymous, unknown, and he would use that. Listen to this mas'ala then. This mas'ala that is ascribed to Albani, being lean in hadith, as I said before, it's without evidence. One point we just removed it and we got it clear and clarified. And Sheikh Albani, in reality, he refuted in many places in his own works, in his own books, those who rely on the authentication of or the praisal of Ibn Hibban regarding narrators. And Al-Albani himself referred to Ibn Hibban as a mutasahil, as other muhaddithin have. He has. But Sheikh Al-Albani pointed and he alerted that this man, لكنه رحمه الله, but Al-Albani نبه إلى أن الرجل, that man, Ibn Hibban, الذي ينفرد ابن حبان, the man that Ibn Hibban is singular in praising, and others narrate him with him. So this man is unknown. Ibn Hibban comes and praises this man. But this man, scholars who are strong have narrated from him, but they didn't mention anything about him. And Ibn Hibban comes and says he's reliable, take it from him. He praises him. He gives a ruling on him. Sheikh Al-Albani said this one, and the wording of the hadith is not munkar. It's not very evil or wrong. Weak, not very weak. Sheikh Al-Albani said this type, saduqun yuhtaju bih. This person is strong, he's truthful, and he'll be used with those conditions. And a lot of people who don't know the works of Sheikh Al-Albani did not ponder on that matter and did not even see that issue in him. Let him say himself right now. He said in his kitab Tamamul Minna, the fifth qa'idah, the fifth principle, when he mentioned, he said, عدم الاعتماد على توثيق ابن حبان. He chaptered, not relying on the appraisal of Ibn Hibban. He chaptered it. And he said, إن المجهول بقسميه. The majhul, the unknown, with its 2 types. Which 2 types? You know it, all of you know, صح? عين والحال. Good. لا يقبل. It is not accepted. حديث عند جمهور العلماء. In those 2 narrations, the person, whether he's unknown, he himself is unknown, or his condition is unknown, any of the 2 unknown, according to the scholars of hadith, is not taken. وقد شذ عنهم, but somebody who opposed that matter, who became alone in this matter, is who? Ibn Hibban. Ibn Hibban, he's alone in this. فقبل حديثه. He accepted those unknown narrators and he started to take them in. واحتج به, and he started to use those people in his book that he called Sahih Ibn Hibban. That's why that book lost its positioning. Then Ibn Hibban, he brings the kalam of who? Ibn Hajar and Ibn Abdul Hadi. Both of them. That affirm that which he said. That Ibn Hibban should not be taken, and he proves it. Then after that, he brings examples and everything. Sheikh Al-Albani, after that, he says, rahimahullah, and he gives examples of what Ibn Hibban did, and these narrators who are unknown, they're anonymous, unknown, nobody knows them, and Ibn Hibban says that they're praiseworthy, they're strong, they're this, and he's the only one who praised them. Sheikh Al-Albani brought examples of that matter. And then after that, he said this, وَقَالَ وَقَدْ ازْدَدَدْتُ يَقِينًا. I have increased in certainty, has increased in me certainty. بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ, after this. بعد أن درست when I studied. تراجم كتابه when I studied the biography of this in his book. الضعفاء. There's a book called ضعفاء where he authored all the weak narrators. He put that in his book. And he also has a book called Sahih where he narrates a hadith. Whereas الضعفاء is not a hadith. It just narrates their names. He said Albani said after years of studying that book الضعفاء, he said it became certain to me. It has become certain to me. وقد بلغ عددهم, and their numbers has reached قرابة 1,400 راوٍ, 1,400 narrators. فلم أرى فيه من طعن فيه بالجهالة. And I have seen scholars who have not criticized those people with anonymity. They're not unknown. اللهم إلا 4 منهم, except 4 of them. لكنه طعن فيهم بروايتهم المناكير. But they criticize those 4 narrators with what? That they are munkar, very weak, very weak. وليس بالجهالة, and they are unknown. وهاك أسماؤهم وكلامهم فيهم. And this is their names, and this is what has been said about them. This is the issue now, Sheikh Al-Albani. He did what? تتبع. He followed that Ibn Hibban. He gave the general ruling up regarding Ibn Hibban, but he went out of his way to research on all of the men, by individually standing over each man and seeing their matters and their issue. And he realized that 4 of them were considered munkar, and not jahala wasn't the reason why they were criticized. This is what he said. ثم قال, he then said, and I was amazed because when I read this I just thought, okay, Sheikh Albani himself was preceded in this issue. Who? Muallimi, in his kitab al-Tankil. Muallimi put conditions down, the tawthiq of Ibn Hibban of the jahala, that it's not just like that. That you can't just take the appraisal of Ibn Hibban regarding narrators just like that. He puts conditions, I think it was 5, 6 conditions, if I'm not wrong. Ibn Muallimi puts down. So you can go back and inshallah benefit from it there. That's another issue inshallah. The other thing, which is what? That he strengthened some narrators which were weak. Again, this issue, this is another matter which some people may consider like, this man is criticized, why are you taking him and why are you not? He's been criticized. Sheikh Albani, walillah alhamdulillah, he was an alim and he followed up. And I'll give you one example and all of you will be like, wow, wow, this is a good science, and it amazes you the knowledge of this man. A man who goes by the name of Abdullah ibn Lahi'a. You read that man, he's got criticization right, left, center. And he also has praises right, left, center. What are you going to do? Scholars refuted him and they said weak. And some scholars, they praised him strong. What is the issue regarding him? Sheikh Nasir, he looked into the matter and he broke the 2 views in what it's meant by it. He said this man, Ibn Lahi'a, his strength of memory, it used to be present. And he was from those who used to read from his books. And his book got burnt. So what he tried to do is try to read it from his memory. But he wasn't even strong in his memory in the beginning. Sheikh Al-Albani researched even deeper and said that Abdullah ibn Lahi'a, he narrated from some people whilst he had his books. I'm going to take those narrations. And after his book burnt, we don't take it. And he said that the people he narrated from after his books were burnt are these people. And the people he narrated before are these people. So once you see him take Abdullah ibn Lahi'a, don't come and say, oh, this man is weak. Look at scholars what they said about him. See, this is your jahl and your lack of research and your lack of understanding. But this man has the power, mashallah, and the efforts and the time to go through everything. The same is Ismail ibn Ayyash. Are you with me? And the likes of that. Hisham ibn, and other than them. And other than them. And the mithals, examples one can go through is a lot. Hey, what else? 9 point, 2 more left, inshallah.
You wouldn't give consideration.
Sorry, I just want to mention one point. Abdullah ibn Lahi'a, as I said, anyone who narrated from before, we'll take it. Like Abdullah ibn Wahb, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he narrated from these people. He narrated from 4 Abdullah. Abdullah ibn Wahb, I remember. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, I remember. Abdullah ibn Muqri, he narrated from, and another 4th Abdullah. And then finally, I saw another narrator, he narrated from, 6, 7 people he narrated from before the books were burnt. Sheikh Nasir brings those names. Ha. So when you say that it's weak, you have to look at it. When was it? What's the timing? Second thing is, even if he narrates one after his book, and he has other narrations that support it, remember before, if it has mutaba'at and shawahid, then the hadith is taken. Taken, no problem. Because even the man who lost his book, sometimes he can remember things and get it right, sah? If he has other people supporting him, it falls under the point that we mentioned before, Hassan li ghayri. Is that wadah? Naam. So don't say Sheikh Albani authentic. Look at the man, study him, research him, see what has been said about him, and bring a conclusion. If you go to the Taqrib by Ibn Hajar, Wallah Ibn Hajar is amazing. Ibn Hajar, if you read his manhaj in that kitab, his Taqrib, you realize that a man is criticized and another man is praised. Ibn Hajar will take a neutral position regarding this person and he'll say this person is suduq. Criticism and praise, he'll take the middle part. But then he will do tatabbu'. He will follow up his narrations and give a final ruling regarding it. You miskin can't follow anything up. You're miskin, you can't even write your name if your life depended on it. And then you want to just look at Sheikh Nasir's final conclusion and say, look, he opposed these ai who said this. But do you know, have you been able to follow up all his narrations and give the ruling? Then if you're weak and you're unable to, then let those who are able to clarify the matter. And that's why I find a lot of people criticize the Imam. Allahumma irhamhu. Allah have mercy upon him. Wallah, he strived. Look at that. All of you can see that power of looking into that stuff, how he did it. 60 years, you say, I looked at that man and 60 years of hadith. And a person who hasn't even been studying for 6 days, wants to criticize. The 9th thing that they criticize the Sheikh for, which is متناقض في أحكامه على الحديث, that he contradicted himself in the rulings of hadith. This person is either ignorant, he's jahil, or tajahala, he's made himself ignorant about the matter. فأحلاهما أمر, both of them are as evil as the other. If he's ignorant, he should have been quiet and not talk about it. And if he knows and he's trying to make himself ignorant about it, what an evil person he is. So both of them are bad. The issue that is known by any individual who knows knowledge, who's a person of the Sunnah, will know that there is nobody who's infallible except the prophets. They are nobody who's infallible. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Kullu ibn Adam khata." Every person is a wrongdoer. Wa khayrul khata'in, and the best of the wrongdoers is which one? Who do commit mistakes. The repenters are the best. So as I said before, the scholars are between what? Bayna ajrin or ajrain. In between ajr or 2 ajr. And I mentioned that tawthiq and tasheeh and tad'if is what? Ijtihad, sah. And it falls under the hadith, إِذَا اجْتَهَدَ الْمُجْتَهِدُ. If the mujtahid does ijtihad, فَأَصَابَهِ, he gets it right, فَلَهُ أَجْرَانِ, he has 2 rewards. فَإِنْ أَخْطَأَ, if he does a mistake, which he will do, فَلَهُ أَجْرٌ وَاحِدٌ. And not only what you have done is, you don't want to give him the ajr, rather you want to strip him from his whole position of being a man of knowledge. That's a person who doesn't know the religion. Dhahabi rahimahullah said an issue that I'm going to read to all of you in Mizan al-i'tidal. And this is scholars that are bigger than Albani. Look what he said about them. He said, "Ana ashtahi." No, Dhahabi said, I wish, I desire, I want. And tu'arrifani, that you let me know, you teach me, you recognize to me, show some to me. Man huwa thiqa, who is the person who is strong. Athabt, who is strong and rooted. Alladhi ma ghalita, that never done a mistake. I wish I can see somebody. Walan farad, and he never becomes singular. Bima la yutaba alayhi, that which he hasn't been followed in. How many people? But it's thiqatul hafidhu. Rather the thiqa, the hafiz of hadith is what? إذا انفرد بأحاديث, if he's singular in narrations, كان أرفع له, it is upper for him, higher for him. وأكمل لرتبته, and it takes him even higher than his rank. وأدل على اعتناء بالعلم, to prove that he's a person who's more about the knowledge, not about the number of people. وضبطه دون أقراني, and that he puts things down in place than his fellow friends. لأشياء ما عرفوها, for matters that they didn't know. And this is the matter. And this is what he said. Look what he said. ولا, after he said all of that, he said ولا من شرط الثقة, and it's not the condition of a person to be a ثقة, a حافظ, a scholar. It's not أن يكون معصوما, that he's infallible. من الخطايا, from mistakes. والخطأ and mistakes. That's not the condition of a ثقة. That's not the condition of a حافظ. It's not the condition of a scholar. So Sheikh Nasir, if he got a mas'ala wrong, then alhamdulillah, you just proved to me he's a human being. That's all you finally shown me. That alhamdulillah, that the Quran is the only book that will never get it wrong. ولذلك, what did the poet say? He said, ومن ذا الذي ترضى سجاياه كلها كفى المرء نبلا أن تعد معايبه. Who is the person that we hope and we wish from him to be correct in everything they say? Like in honor, enough for that person's honor is that his mistakes can be counted. One. And Sheikh Nasir, 60 years in this field, and you've only managed to get 10 narrations he got wrong? That is just incredible for me. Like, it just amazes me. Allahu Akbar. I actually see the opposite of what you see. You see? So this is how Albani was. وَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي تُرْضَى سَجَايَاهُ كُلَّهُ. Who is the person who everything he has said or done we are pleased with? كَفَى الْمَرْءِ نُبْلًا. Sufficient for a person's position is what? أَن تُعَدَّ مَعَايِبُهُ. His mistakes can be counted. You see? So now if a person says that all al-Albani, alhamdulillah, the people who say that Sheikh Nasir contradicted himself, either one of two reasons they got against him. One is Sheikh Nasir rahimahullah came from a view and he wrote it in this book and didn't take it out of the other book, and he came back from it. And that will look like a contradiction. And it's called taraju'at, and there's books that have been published around Albani coming back, and that shows how sincere he was. He said, I got this issue wrong. Alhamdulillah, my student has alerted me in this person, and I've come back from this matter. How many times has he said that? How many times has Sheikh Nasir said that? That he came back. And walillah alhamdulillah, 2 volumes so far I have of Al-Albani's comebacks from matters that he says that I came back from the, now this hadith is to me is authentic. Now this narration is weak. They will see that and say that he contradicted himself. One. The second one is Sheikh Nasir rahimahullah maybe has contradicted himself in this matter. But how many imams who haven't? How many people who haven't contradicted themselves? Again, we say to that person what we have said, what we narrated from Dhahabi rahimahullah ta'ala, who is the person who doesn't do a mistake and who doesn't get it wrong. The last thing that they hold against Sheikh Nasiruddin al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala is, and the last but not least, is لا يهتم بنقد المتن, that the Sheikh did not criticize the narrations. I'm going to just quote some scholars regarding this matter, and then I'll finish it there inshallah بإذن الله الكريم. This first issue, as I said about the previous one, is باطل لا أساس لها. It's باطل and it has no foundation. And the Sheikh's kutubs are free from this matter that go against it. Anyone who has even looked at his books quickly would realize that Sheikh used to, rahimahullah ta'ala. Anybody who's read his books, Silsila Hadith al-Sahih and Hadith al-Da'ifa, will realize, and these Silsila Hadith al-Da'ifa are 10 volumes each. Both of them, the weak ones and the authentic ones. And it's just the ocean, it's just a needle thrown in the ocean of all the other works he has done, rahimahullah ta'ala. He's done over 100 books he's authored, rahimahullah. This issue of criticizing the method of the hadith and speaking about it is a mas'ala Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala used to do, and it's something the scholars of hadith all used to do. And if you go to the kitab Anwar al-Kashifa, which I love so much, Muallimi wrote, you benefit a lot of things he did there, rahimahullah ta'ala, may Allah bless him. He speaks about it very well. He goes into it and deals with a lot of matters. But there's a kalam I want to read on all of you, inshallah, which is the qawl of Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, لا تنظروا إلى الحديث, do not look at the hadith, ولكن انظروا, look إلى الإسناد, look at the chain of narration first. فإن صح الإسناد, if the chain of narration becomes authentic, وإلا فلا تغتروا بالحديث إذا لم يصح الإسناد. Do not let the wording of the chain of narration fascinate you if you haven't given a look to the. Sometimes you look at the sanad, you're like, wow, this hadith is beautiful. He said, Ibn Sa'id al-Qattan said, first look at the chain. Before you even read the hadith and you narrate it, look at the sanad. So this is what Sheikh Nasr used to do. From that, what do you realize? First is نظر إلى السند, to look at the sanad. And the second thing is that after the chain of narration is authentic, what do? You look at the wording of the hadith, whether it went against other narrations that are present, looking at it. And Sheikh Nasr used to do that, rahimahullah ta'ala. How many hadith has he criticized by shudud and said this hadith is shadh, it's not sahih? And if I did choose to do that and go through his books, I would have gone through a lot, but I don't wish to. But if anybody goes to these pages, inshallah, you'll find it. Page 55, Sheikh Nasr, rahimahullah ta'ala, the hadith when he talks about sur'atul mashi tadhabu biha al-mu'min. The Sheikh Nasr says, بعد بيان ضعف إسنادي قال رحمه الله ويكفي في that's one hadith, okay? Running to the salah تذهب بهاء المؤمن. Running the salah will take the gloominess and the honor and the positioning of the Muslim, the mu'min. It takes the nur of the first person. Sheikh Nasr, when he said بعد بيان, after I've clarified the sanad for you, he said this, ويكفي, it is sufficient في رد هذا الحديث, to oppose this hadith, أنه مخالف لهدي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في مشي, that he goes against the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم as walking. فقد كان سريع المشي, the Prophet used to walk fast, كما ثبت ذلك عنه, as it has been transmitted to us authentically, في غير ما حديث, in other than one hadith. وروى ابن سعيد في الطبقات عن الشفاء بنت عبد الله أم سليمان قالت كان عمر إذا مشى السرعة, that it was narrated that Umar, if he used to walk fast. What is he refuting now? The wording. He's refuting the wording of the hadith. So he said after the chain, even the wording, if even the sanad wasn't weak, the matan is sufficient. That it goes against the Prophet's hadith. Did he refute it? And that's just one. Also, if you go to other hadith, مسح الرقبة أمان من الغل, doing wiping your neck when you do the wudu, it protects you from deceit, anyone doing it from your back. He also refutes the matan of the hadith, and he goes into it, and many other narrations. Sheikh Nasr was rather his kitab silsila ahadith al-da'ifa. You know what that book he does? He doesn't just authenticate the narrations. He also brings the fiqh out of the hadith, the matan, and extract the benefits that are in it, to mention to the people. Finally, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, as a conclusion about the biography and the defense of Sheikh Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, which took time, but he deserves more and more, is the work and the books that he authored, rahimahullah ta'ala. I'm going to mention some of them, but they are more than 100 books. He authored his kitab Sahih wa Da'if al-Jami' al-Saghir. He wrote Sahih and he wrote the Da'if of Jami' al-Saghir by Suyuti's book. Also, he done the takhrij of the kitab Manar al-Sabil, which he called Irwa' al-Ghalil. He also has a book, Silsila Hadith al-Da'ifa, Silsila Hadith al-Sahiha, Tamam al-Minna fi Ta'liq ala Fiqh al-Sunnah, by Sayyid Sabiq's book, Fiqh al-Sunnah. He put his pen on it, authenticated all the chains of narrations. The kitab Dhilal al-Jannah, which is what? في تخريج كتاب السنة by Ibn Abi Asim. He authenticated the ahadith, 2 volumes. نعم. أحكام الجنائز وبدعها. The rulings of janazah and the innovative things that are done in the janazah. He did that, rahimahullah, and he authored a book in it. One nice thick narration, all the authentic narrations that come in. He also authored a book which is called Hajjun Nabi, the Prophet's Hajj. كما رواها جابر, the way Jabir narrated it. He brings all the chains of it. Isn't this fiqh? لا إله إلا الله محمد. أحكام الجنائز وبدعها fiqh. مناسك الحج والعمرة. The Hajj and Umrah, the Mansik, how should do it. He wrote a book on it. جلباب المرأة, all this fiqh, yeah? جلباب المرأة المسلمة. The Muslim lady, the clothing, the way she should wear it. آداب الزفاف, the rulings of marriage. And I advise everyone to read that book. Last part, he talks about how mandatory it is that the woman cooks for the husband. It's mandatory. He proves fiqh and hakami that it's mandatory that the woman has to cook. That's not a mas'ala fiqh, mas'ala weak. Sheikh Albani at the end he brings that qawl, that the woman has to cook for her husband. Has to. It's wajib. Fardu ayn. He proves that. The second 12th thing is تحذير الساجد من اتخاذ القبور مساجد, which is the first book he ever authored when he was 20 years old. 20 he wrote first book, which is the issues of what? Warning against the prostrators in prostrating or making a grave a masjid, building the graves inside the masjid. He wrote a book on that. التوسل أنواع وأحكامه. He didn't author this book, this was rather his tapings. They took it from it, and mashallah, he worked around it. He mentioned, which is the tawassul of the Prophet ﷺ and his types and what's permissible and what's not. Mashallah, very good book, and the rulings. I benefited a lot from that book. غاية المرام في تخريج أحاديث الحلال والحرام. And what's his name? And Yusuf al-Qardawi. There's a book called Al-Halal wal-Haram. Albani went followed that book and got it, and he authenticated all the narrations and all the kalams in which he said, and he worked. Another book, نصب المجانيق لنصف قصة الغرانيق, the story of the satanic verse. He authored a book in refutation of that and the chain of narration regarding it, and many other books, including our book Sifa Salat al-Nabi, in which we are energetically going to start now, inshallah, with enthusiasm, bi'idhnillah al-kareem. Let's open our book now, inshallah. Sheikh Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani, the book in which he authored تلخيص صفة صلاة النبي.